Okay.
Okay, well, at least now it's your face. So we
Here we
can work with
go.
that.
All right,
Yay!
we on
We figured out the
prime
technology.
time.
I know
Yeah.
you had a long day. So I know that y'all had some interesting conversations down at the city today we're gonna talk about. But before
Cool.
we get to that, let's start with some introductions. Why did it pop up Shay as an opportunity? We're not adding Shay to the conversation. So I have council member Edward Pollard here today talking about the work that he's done on city council and then also some of the big issues that are impacting Houston right now. We got a lot of stuff going on. I actually had to go take some notes for this interview. Usually I come just off the top of my head, but I was like, no, it's a lot of, I think some interesting constitutional issues here happening as well. So I want to allow you to start by introducing yourself, your background, and then we can get into some questions as well.
Cool. Well, I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm a native Houstonian, grew up in Southwest Houston, went to all public schools, got a degree from Morehouse College in Atlanta, was there on a basketball scholarship, played overseas for a couple years in Singapore as well as in Chile. And then I came back to Houston and received my law degree from Thurgood Marshall. I've been practicing attorney since 2012. I have my own law firm that focuses on civil litigation, personal injury matters. And I was elected to city council in 2019, sworn in 2020. And I was reelected in 2023. I represent District J, which I call J City, and it is Southwest Houston. So everything on the 59 South corridor between 610 and the Beltway. So you have the Galleria, Gulfton, Sharpstown, Brayburn, Alief, very diverse area, the most diverse area of the city. And so it's been a very rewarding experience to be on council. This is my 7th year. I have one more year. We get 2 4-year terms on council. And so we'll transition to see what happens next in 2027. But it's been a great ride thus far.
You probably can't see the chat because you are not used to being on TikTok, but everybody's like, today was a day. This council meeting was a day. So people definitely want to talk about that. Just a quick question for you. What made you run for office in 2020? What drove you to, I saw that you studied political science at undergrad, so I imagine that you probably were always into political science or politics, but what made you decide to run for office in 2020?
Yeah, good question. I was a political science major because I had an older brother who was a political science major and he was a lawyer. I knew one day I wanted to be a lawyer, but I never actually thought about becoming or running for office. That never was ever a part of any thought that I had growing up. It was purely just about playing sports and one day possibly being an attorney. But when I was in law school, I did an internship in my 2nd year where I worked for a state representative in Austin for the legislative session. And one day I was up in the House gallery and I was looking at the different legislators on the House floor, and they were discussing bills and issues that affected my community. And I saw that there weren't a lot of young people down there. There weren't a lot of people of color, specifically Black people. And I said, I don't like to be up here in the sidelines, in the stands. I don't like to be out of the action. I want to be a part of the discussion. I want to be at the table. And I think that was just that competitive spirit in me that came from a background of sports and competition. And so I told myself that day that I didn't want to be silent. I wanted to be a part of the game. And so I said I was going to run for office after I graduated. And that's exactly what I did. A couple years after I graduated, I ran for state representative for the same area that I'm kind of representing now. I came up a bit short in the first Democratic primary. But I stayed at it. I stayed out, continued to build relationships and kind of get my name ID up. And when the council seat opened up, I ran for it. And at the time, it was 8 people in the race. I was the youngest. I was the only Black person. I represent an area with no predominantly Black neighborhoods. A lot of people didn't think we could win this race. But we were able to knock on as many doors as possible, reach out on both sides of the aisle, and we're able to get the win.
Love that. Before we get into, because everybody's in the comments, they want to talk about what's been going on in city council, but I want to talk about just some of the wins that you've had in District J, because you call it J City, and there's been some things like your efforts to kind of focus on addressing some issues at the council level. I'm sorry, at the district level versus the citywide level. So you've done some stuff with HPD, which I know has kind of put you in the crosshairs of the mayor on some things. But can we talk about what you've done to kind of address issues and concerns for people in your district?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest challenges that I had coming into office was the Bissonnette track area, which is notoriously known for prostitution, human trafficking, a lot of drugs and gangs. And so The stretch between US 59 and Beltway 8 has been known for as a hub of prostitution for decades. And when I came into office, honestly, I did not have a lot of answers on how to address that issue. But I knew it was something that we had to make a high priority. And so over time, we tried a lot of different activations. And one that worked was we started to barricade the side streets off of Bissonnette on that corridor at night. And starting around 8, 9 p.m. every night, the side streets of Bissonnette have an actual fixed steel gate barricade that gets locked by law enforcement, and it's not opened up until the next morning. And we work with stakeholders and businesses and residents to ensure that they were okay with us trying that idea. And what we saw was it worked. We actually cut off the pipeline for individuals to be able to travel down these back streets to either buy sex or buy drugs. And it completely cut off the economic stream of cash flow that was coming through that area. And we started working with the nonprofits to be able to work with some of the women who are trapped in that lifestyle. But that was an area that, was neglected for a long time. That was an area that had a really bad reputation, and a lot of people never really put forth, I think, the effort necessary to help that community thrive and what the residents and the business owners deserve. And so that's probably one of my biggest accomplishments to date. If you drive down Bissonnette now, it just looks like a normal street. We still have, some issues that pop up from time to time that still linger, but it's been a complete 180 from what the street was known for in the past. Another big win for me was, implementing a lot of the programs that we have in what I call J City. And the J City brand is me looking at my district as a city in itself. We have over 200,000 people who reside in District J. That's the size of a regular mid-sized American city. And we weren't getting response times to constituent services as fast as we would like. And so I started to create all these programs that would supplement the work of the department. So we have our own private trash collection. We have our own District J patrol for community policing. We have a supplemental maintenance team that helps out with public works. We have a good neighbor program that helps with housing. We have all these different specialized concierge style programs that are designed to address the issues of the neighborhoods as fast as possible. And so I'm very proud of that model. I think many of the things that we have done in J City can be used as a model for citywide, and something that I think would bode well for other areas of the city.
When I tell y'all, so Bissonnette, first of all, just to kind of give y'all a picture of how crazy Bissonnette is, there's a Tubi movie about Bissonnette, like that is based around kind of the stories on Bissonnette. And my first job out of law school, it's actually where I first met Courtney, was off of Bissonnette. And I would get there in the morning, and we would always say there were people that were getting off the night shifts, because you would see them on the street. Like, so he's not anybody that's ever had to go down that street. Like I said, I had to work in an office building on that street, and it was crazy. It was crazy, and it's dangerous. Yeah, Courtney said that she called the hotline. It's bad. So that has been an ongoing issue. I've seen different council members, different mayors talk about that issue and try to figure out ways to address it. But he's found a way. Yeah, y'all think I'm kidding. There's a Tubi movie called Bissonnette or something like that. It really is. So I want to talk about too. You have something on here too that you talked about. It's like a More Jobs Houston platform as well. Is that for the whole city or just for J City?
It's for the entire city. So it's called morejobshouston.com. It's a one-stop place for job seekers to try to find employment opportunities all over the greater Houston area. It gets automated every single week, and they have thousands of jobs, no matter if you're looking for an entry-level position or something that requires a postgraduate degree. There's opportunity there. Not only is there jobs, there's also resources. So we update it with upcoming job fairs. There's interview techniques, how to prepare for an interview or how to write a resume, all these different articles to help you with your job search. And, I tie having a really strong income to having a thriving city. You can't have a thriving city when people aren't making money. Those dollars that they spend then are the same dollars that come into the city that we then use for services. And so it's going to correlate with public safety. It's going to correlate with housing, homelessness, mental health. Everything starts with a good paying job. And so that's something that I believe was a way in which I could get outside of my district and not just focus on some of these neighborhood related issues of District J, but also provide a benefit to the greater Houston area. And so we've been pumping that platform for the last year. People may have seen signs or billboards all over the city encouraging people to go to that site. So if you or someone you know is looking for a job, I encourage you to check out morejobshouston.com.
As we know, the economy, Black women are out of jobs, people have been laid off. And so I want to make sure that we noted that, so that's a good resource for us to look at beyond just like LinkedIn and Indeed and things like that, things that actually are tied to the city. Okay, the question everybody wants to talk about. Let's talk about what's going on with ICE. Now, and I did a video about this earlier today, y'all, that's like kind of a breakdown of the timeline, but this has been an ongoing conversation. The mayor has in some ways tried to dodge this, conversation. I don't think it was, me personally, I'm speaking for me, I'm not speaking for the council member, but hasn't been super transparent when people have been asking questions about different things. And one thing that really stood out for me, and I was looking at the Houston Chronicle timeline today, in 2024, HPD called ICE 9 times. And by October of 2025, they had already called 100 times. And what I'm saying they are calling ICE to say, we've got somebody here that's not a citizen, that has a warrant in the system from you all. Do you all want to come pick them up? And so what I thought was interesting is, was there and I feel free to kind of get into kind of the backstory wherever you want to start. But what stood out to me is like, there's obviously been a procedural change in HPD. If in 2024 we have 9 calls to 100, and it seems like we're not really clear about what changed. So if you could explain that and kind of get whatever background you think is important as well to this kind of whole situation, what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's good to first start at, how did we get here in the first place? The Trump administration put into the law enforcement database about 700,000 what we call administrative warrants. These aren't actual warrants that are signed by a judge. These are notices that are signed by an ICE officer. And they are not anything that are dealt with in criminal court, but they are now dumped into the same system with the criminal warrants. And so the Trump administration, along with, our state leadership, Governor Abbott and Ken Paxton, Dan Patrick, they are using this to as a tool to deport people. And the issue is the city of Houston has always been an extremely welcoming city. We're the most diverse city in the country, where many of the contributions that we get in our city come from people from all types of backgrounds and status. And so the Trump administration initially wanted to paint this narrative that we're only going after the criminals and we're only going after the people who bring harm and danger to our communities. But what we were finding out is that they were using these administrative warrants as a way to deport people as well. People who had no criminal background, who had never been in the criminal justice system, did not have a criminal warrant. They still were getting detained based on these administrative warrants, and ICE was called to come to the scene, and law enforcement, or HPD, was then ensuring that these individuals were turned over to ICE. And what was happening is families were getting torn apart. People who have been here for years, who have been meaningful residents to our city, that had no criminal background, were being used almost as pawns within this political scheme to deport them. And our ordinance that we put forth recently, myself, Councilmember Salinas, and Councilmember Kamen, was to challenge that policy and say that we believe that was violating their Fourth Amendment rights of unlawful search and seizure, because what was happening is, after a traffic stop was conducted, after the purpose of the traffic stop was done, they still were detaining individuals and waiting on ICE, and sometimes, in some instances, actually transporting people to ICE, which we believe is a violation of their Fourth Amendment rights. And so the policy that we put on the books that passed last week, 12-5, was to revise and change that policy so that HPD officers would only be able to detain a person for the purpose of the stop. And if they only had an administrative warrant, then they would have to let them go forward. It did not preclude them from contacting ICE. ICE would still be contacted, but they didn't have to wait around for, X amount of time for ICE to arrive. They didn't have to wait there for a 30-minute policy, or they didn't have to they wouldn't be allowed to transport people to ICE. And we thought that was extremely necessary because, one, we want to protect families in Houston, and two, we really want to just spend our law enforcement resources and dollars on crime, those who are committing harm and danger in the city of Houston, and not spend, the capacity that we were taking on these administrative warrants.
Okay, I'm gonna make us go back to constitutional law real quick, even though I feel like I can't imagine being a law student right now in constitutional law because none of that stuff really is applying anymore. But can we talk about the fort? You explained it, but I want us to kind of zone in on this. What is happening is they had a policy saying that they had to wait 30 minutes to see if ICE was gonna come pick up this person, which you and Salinas and Cayman, who are all three lawyers, y'all, all three have been lawyers for a very long time, and practicing attorneys are saying is a constitutional violation. So we also were opening ourselves up for some litigation there as well, because we are detaining people beyond the purpose of the stop, which is pretty clear. Things were, I'm going to say that's pretty clear law from the Supreme Court, even though they've been backtracking on crazy things. So that's one of the concerns, correct?
Correct. When you pull a person over, let's say you pull them over for a not wearing their seatbelt. That was the reason for pulling them over, right? Once that stop is completed for that purpose, as a local law enforcement officer, that is the end of your scope of duty, right? Our law enforcement officers don't have jurisdiction over federal authority and federal laws, and vice versa. And so once our law enforcement officers do what they were purported to do based on that stop, their scope ends, their mandate ends. And so what was happening is, I think the lights went out. But so what we were saying is anything that goes beyond that is now infringing upon their Fourth Amendment rights to an unlawful search and seizure. Like, the purpose of the stop had ended. So why am I now being detained for a non-criminal issue, right? These administrative warrants are civil in nature. They are not conducted within a criminal courtroom, and they are not signed by a judge. And so that's where the Fourth Amendment issue comes into place. And at the moment, our policy, which was vetted by the city attorney's office, and the city attorney said that it was lawful, that it did not violate state law, did not violate federal law, was then, we then received a letter from the attorney general's office, Ken Paxton, saying that he looked at the law in a different way. And that's fine. When you have lawyers, there are going to be difference of opinions, but we don't have any ruling from a judge or from a court that states what that states any position on the law. So right now you just have interpretations of the law. And so if that is the case, we should stand by our city attorney's decision, right? And I think that the vote that went forward should prevail and should go forward. It has been disheartening to see that the mayor has not pushed back against the governor and the attorney general by supporting this ordinance that he voted for, right? That has not had anything come down from a judge or a court of law saying anything different. And so just because they may look at it differently than our city attorney looks at it, or many of the attorneys that sit around the horseshoe look at it, doesn't mean that we should cower to the pressures and the threats from Austin.
Okay, but I'm a little suspicious about it. Felt like a flip-flop to me when he voted for it. What can you give us some insights about what made him vote for it? Because I just felt, and I'm suspicious of his, this is me talking, not him. I am suspicious of his vote and the change and all that.
Yeah, I was happy to see him support the issue. It's no denying that this has turned into a partisan issue. These administrative warrants were they were instituted by the Trump administration. And so this kind of becomes a partisan issue. The mayor, he says he's a Democrat, and so I think he wanted to be on the side of the Democrats. But with just a slight nudge in opposition, in my opinion, he has caved to the pressure of Greg Abbott and the Attorney General Ken Paxton, who are both in an election year. And I think it could be assumed that they're using Houston and this issue as a political talking point. And so I would hope that the mayor would stand firm by his decision. But it's looked like now he has set up a emergency meeting for council to convene this Friday at 9 a.m. to
So early.
talk about this issue and to possibly repeal it. And so we have some work cut out in front of us. Those who support this, I think we have to have some really strong reasons why we believe that we should not cave and we should hold the line. And I'm hopeful that when my colleagues hear, our stance on this and maybe some more input from the city attorney and outside legal counsel, as well as the residents of the city of Houston, I think the voices of those that we represent must be held in high regard, and we should prioritize their voices as much as possible. When you add all that up together, I'm hopeful that we will not repeal this ordinance and we can move forward. The issue becomes, and what the media and the mayor will speak about, is a threat from Governor Abbott to deallocate $110 million of grant money from his office that would be for first responders and police officers, and would go towards efforts for FIFA and other events that are upcoming in the city. And I challenge him to say that in itself is defunding the police. That in itself is going against public safety. That in itself is hurting communities and putting them in harm's way. And so we don't have any authority over those dollars. That is solely under the discretion of the governor. And if he decided to do that, that would be on his record, not on ours.
So people are asking, just so we're clear, y'all, yes, the meeting on Friday is open. The city council is open to the public. And Stevie put in the chat that if you want to speak, you have to sign up to speak by tomorrow at 9 a.m. And yes, I think I saw Abby Kamen was quoted in the Houston Chronicle saying this, and I'll continue to repeat it. Greg Abbott is starting to defund the police in Houston ahead of FIFA. That's
the disappointing part is today at council, the mayor said that the only opinion that matters is the governor's. And that is on Abby Church, who runs, she doesn't run, but she works for the Houston Chronicle and covers the city council meetings. She put that on her Twitter, her X account. And, I think everybody was kind of taken aback when they heard that the mayor would say that the only opinion that matters is the governor. I don't believe that. I mean, that we have 17 elected officials that are up there that represent the city. The city attorney's office has already did a long and in-depth legal review of this. And the opinion of the Houstonians is what matters most. When you do come into the council chambers, you will see a statement that is on our wall that says the people are the city. And I think the voices of the people, regardless of where you stand on this issue, and regardless if we lose on this issue at the state level, you should stand firm for the people that you represent here in Houston and not get dictated on how to perform or how to act just because those in Austin may disagree.
Somebody's noting that he's obsessed with Houston. He is. And part of it is because Houston is the path to flipping the state. They know it. We know it. And they are trying to they keep their finger on us to block that. Because if Houston just increases in turnout, not even by like a whole lot, y'all, they have no path to keeping this city. This city has the potential to be like Chicago and Illinois, and they know that. And I always keep telling y'all, we have a hater amongst us, and our hater amongst us is a state senator, Paul Betancourt, who hosted Ken Paxton this week on his podcast to talk about all this. And Paul is oftentimes the sponsor of bills that go against his home. The people that elected him, he's out here passing, sponsoring bills in our state house to hurt and harm Houstonians. And so I think that's very important as well. Other thing I want to talk about too, we got people in the chat that are from Dallas. Dallas, Austin, similar policies. Have we seen him threaten to take money from Dallas and Austin?
No, not of yet. You know, their policies have been on the books for some time. I think this is a hot button issue right now in the middle of a runoff for state Senate on the or U.S. Senate on the Republican side, and they're using this as political points. The disheartening part is the mayor ran on having relationships in Austin. He said he knew these people, that he would be able to use the relationships and the experience in dealing with them in ensuring that Houston would not be harmed. But Houston is being harmed on this, and they are heavy-handed from Austin down to Houston, not respecting local control. And it doesn't seem like those relationships are really getting us anywhere today. And it's actually seeming like it's working against us, because he is flip-flopping so quickly on this without putting out any resistance, not trying to utilize a temporary restraining order, not even having a comment or some type of statement that pushes back on their viewpoint on an issue that he voted for. He voted for this issue. He was one of those who supported the issue. He's the one who wanted to show that he was on the right side of this issue. And within a week's time, he's already flip-flopped on it. So that shows you the type of leadership that we have.
And he's trying to blame y'all. He's like, yeah, Ed Pollard and Abby came and I told them this is going to be a problem. He's trying to blame them. And I think it's interesting to me because I'm of the belief, actually, Lisa, y'all know Lisa who be in our chat. Lisa got me thinking this morning, and I'm of this belief as well, that this was all a game set up by the mayor. I truly believe that he was like, okay, I can vote for it, and then I can keep my Democratic bona fides, and then Abbott, you got to come through and say like that you're gonna take money, and then I have some force to be like, oh no, they're gonna take some money from us, and I can kind of back us out of this.
That's the sentiment that's now floating around City Hall, that it seems calculated. It seems like this was predetermined. It seems like this was tried to be something that was worked out, behind closed doors with those that he has a relationship with. I mean, we worked really hard on this ordinance. We were very thoughtful in this approach. We had to bring it through a Prop A, which means that it's an item that's brought forth by council members. 3 council members can sign on to a proposal and bring it to council. That is a new change in our city charter that voters approved about 2 years ago. I've actually, brought about a dozen things forward on Prop A, and all of them have passed. And I think it's a great tool, but we had to use that because the mayor wouldn't act on his own. And then when he saw that we were getting so much support, specifically from Democrats on this, that it seemed as if he wanted to show that, okay, I'm on their side, but deep down he really wasn't as committed and supportive as he tried to show. And so now that we get some resistance and some pushback from Austin, we don't see the same resistance and pushback from his office. And that's what I'm calling him to do. I'm asking him to do. And so we'll see what happens over the next few days. But we are not going to just lay down and allow Austin, Texas to dictate to the city of Houston how we govern. I think it's very important for us to live up to the democratic ideals that make this city who we are. And you'll see on Friday that we'll do just that.
I just want to put a little note here too. The mayor has been challenged by this city. This is a majority Latino city, which they have been disproportionately impacted by ICE, from even people who are citizens or have legal status, have been harassed. We've seen all these stories, right? We've had American citizens murdered in the streets in America by ICE agents. We've all seen these stories. And people that came to city council to talk about these different things, and the mayor didn't listen. And I want to note that Pollard stayed with them after council was over to hear everyone's stories and sit there with a notepad talking to everybody and hear all their stories, while our mayor was like, I'm done. And so those kind of moments matter. And I remember talking to somebody that was there who was a DACA recipient that was like, oh yeah, he was nice. We really appreciated him staying and talking to us. And those are things that it is we've had to have this juxtaposition because we have a mayor that won't do that. And I think for those of us, I know I'm biased, but we had a mayor before who was just very much about that. Rest in peace, Mayor Turner. And so it's just like this shift with having a mayor who just does not want to do that and is running from the Houston Chronicle, running from the people, is incredibly frustrating. I want to also get to what happened today, because there's a clip where my council member, Dr. Carolyn Evans Shabazz, she was talking to the union, the HPD union, which our union has become something. I think that I need people to understand what they are advocating for is beyond just things tied to police, safety, and crime. And there was a back and forth. I haven't seen the clip with you, but can you talk about what the backstory of that was today?
Yeah, that was an exchange between Councilmember Carolyn Evans Shabazz, who represents District D on the southeast side, and Doug Griffith, who is the president of HPOU, the Houston Police Officers Union. And, they're both passionate individuals, and they were both going at each other from their own viewpoint and their stance on how they felt disrespected by the other. I think the issue was in the tone in which Mr. Griffith was speaking to Councilmember Shabazz. I found it offensive. I thought it was disrespectful. I said so publicly to him at the council, and I think there has to just be a level of decorum and respect and professionalism when individuals are speaking to elected members specifically. I mean, we were elected to be in these seats. We all have difference of opinions, but it doesn't mean that we should ridicule or we should make things personal or to attack or insult. And I credit Councilmember Evan Shabazz, who is my Spelman sister, for speaking up for herself and not allowing a narrative or words to be put in her mouth. But I also thought it was very important for me as a Black man that was on that horseshoe to not sit by and not say anything myself. I felt it was my responsibility, that not that she needed me to speak on her behalf, but for her to know that she has support, and that myself as a man to another man, to explain why I think it's necessary to speak to people, in a respectful manner. And I think once that was said and once was done, it seemed to have cooled down, and both of them were able to end it on a seemingly positive note. But that's how polarizing and emotional this issue is. And I think what we have to really do is focus on the reason why we are advocating for this in the first place. It has to deal with people who make Houston strong, people who make Houston important, people who make Houston special. And these individuals, some which may not have legal status, but have no criminal background, that we lean on in so many different facets and areas in our lives, that we're not putting forth policy or having law enforcement agencies that have policies that could potentially tear their families apart and deport them and separate them. That's not what Houston is about. Houston is only the most diverse city in America because of the immigrant community. And 1 out of 4 people in Houston are foreign born. That is an incredible stat. And I think that we have to find policies that are inclusive, policies that are welcoming, policies that keep us safe, but policies that do not tear families apart, especially individuals who have no proof or sign that they cause harm or bring danger to our communities.
That's a good reminder to me. When those kind of situations happen, I like to email, especially when I'm in the district. I did the same thing with Jelana Jones during the quorum break. I like to email people and say, thank you. I'm actually one of your voters. And I want you to know that, we support you. We agree with you. We're glad that you spoke up. Because I think we often will email when we're mad. And I like to try to remember to send emails when these moments go viral and become a big thing. They get so many emails saying that you're wrong and these kind of nasty emails. So if you are in those districts, it's good to email and say, hey, we see you. We appreciate you for speaking up for the people. In this moment, you were saying that I was voted in to do this, and I'm that voter, and I want you to know that we agree. So that's a reminder to send her an email about that. So then Friday will be to discuss Abbott and all these different things as well.
Correct. So Friday, I think, is specifically about the decision to possibly vote on repealing the measure that was brought forth by myself, Councilmember Kamen, and Salinas, that no longer requires HPD or mandates to HPD that they must detain someone after a traffic stop, and they no longer have to wait 30 minutes for ICE agents to show up to the scene. That's a really important discussion. This is a national issue. What we're doing here in Houston is being discussed all the way from this TikTok live all the way to the New York Times. And I think it's important for us to lead in a way that people from all over the city and all over the country see that in Houston, we stand up for what is right. Houston, we band together and we protect the rights of Houstonians, and that we should be focused on criminals and protecting communities and not tearing families apart.
Okay, I don't want to take. I know you got a crazy busy time, but I want to shift to talk about something else that's been a hot button topic on my TikTok lives and on my feed. But the boom in tourism in Houston, which has often it's a lot of Black kids that are coming to Houston, young Black people coming to Houston to experience what I say is just a unique Black culture that includes a lot of Black owned businesses that are beautiful. They are well invested in. They are taken care of. There's a variety of experiences. Being able to go to spaces that are majority Black, that are, experience like Black culture, Black music, spring break, all those different things. And we know that we had some crazy numbers in March when it comes to hotels that Visit Houston has been sharing and things like that. And so Shay's in the comments. I don't know if you got to see Shay's op-ed in the Houston Chronicle talking about this, but I just want, what are some things, one of the questions that I know that Shay has brought up is that the city, people are coming and we're not doing enough to capitalize on that, make them feel welcome, to have events and things like that kind of support that. What are some things that you have done, will do, or what have you, or considered when it comes to how do we take on this new thing? I mean, you grew up here like I did. Houston being a tourist attraction is that's new to me. So I'm not always sure how we approach that, but curious.
Yeah, I think it's something that we need to embrace. I think that is a great thing that our city is being recognized from people all over the country as a place that they want to come and enjoy everything that Houston has to offer, whether it's the nightlife scene, whether it's the rodeo, whether it's being a great place for food, a great place for fine arts and green space and diversity. So we should embrace that. We should capitalize on that, because we're bringing in a lot of sales tax dollars, hotel occupancy dollars. All those dollars come back into our system that we can then provide for services for Houstonians, and it gives us an identity. A lot of people, they come to Houston, and when they get here, they are like, "Oh, this is such a great place. I didn't know." We're such a big city, but we don't get the same recognition as New York and Chicago and LA and some of these other major cities around the country. And now people are finding that we are a very special city once they experience it. And so we don't want to do anything to deter people from wanting to come back. We want to continue to be a welcoming city in every aspect. But at the same time, we have to find ways to be prepared for the influx of people that come in. And we have to put in place expectations for individuals that come to our city, so that they know that as we welcome them in, they have to be respectful of the establishments and the people that are here. And that is a balance that we have to figure out as a city. I think we have to carry our own narrative, and we have to create the culture that we want to see. But being too heavy-handed is not the right approach. Being dismissive or finding ways to block people from wanting to come to the city is the wrong approach. We should be embracing everyone that wants to be here, but also setting the tone for the culture and the expectations that we have from a behavior standpoint, as well as for a respect standpoint.
I like that, even though I'm not always great about. I'm one of those ones who be like, "We're full, we're full." I say it, and I get why we. I get why we.
I may say that from time to time when we sit in traffic, but ultimately, Houston is a very special place to me. It has afforded me so many blessings in my life, and I brag about Houston everywhere I go. I was just in Taiwan a couple weeks ago. I got invited to be a part of a delegation of 10 young elected officials from all over the country. They consider me young. And not only was I bragging to the other delegates who were on the trip about everything that was special about Houston, but abroad, internationally, I brag about everything that Houston has to offer. And so that's something that I want to share with those, and I want everyone to be able to experience. And so when we have the issue that, hey, there's so many people here, there's too many people who are in our city, there's a great problem to have, and we just have to find a way to maximize its full potential.
I saw you went to Taiwan. I actually went to Taiwan with UH downtown some years ago. I took a group of students.
Okay.
Did you fly Eva Air?
I did. I
love
did.
Eva
Yeah,
Air.
Eva Air has a direct flight. That was a big addition to the city of Houston. There was a lot of negotiations on who was going to get the first direct flight from Texas. Was it going to be Dallas or Houston? But Houston was given that direct flight first. And that was actually my second time in the country. And, you know, the relationship between the United States and Taiwan is critical to their sovereignty. And so learning about the intricacies that are at play politically there, ways in which we can build those relationships and find ways in which we can learn and understand the ways in which they produce and manufacture semiconductors and so many other advanced technology that can be used here in the States, not only from a private sector standpoint, but also governing municipalities is something I think we need to lean into. So it was a great experience and a great trip.
Lisa's trolling. She's like, why didn't you take us? What I learned, we actually had to meet with somebody from Eva Air when I got there. And what was interesting, Eva Air went on strike when I was there. So we were worried they were going to cancel our flight. And this girl was like, no, they won't cancel the Houston flight. I forgot what she called it. She's like, it's a very profitable flight. Partly because Houston has a large Vietnamese population. And when they travel back home, they don't want to fly communist airlines. So they fly Eva Air to change planes in Taiwan and then be able to cut over to Vietnam and not have to fly some of the communist airlines. So that is part of why it's a very profitable flight. It is like 17 hours. The second time I went, I got to be in business class, and I was so grateful.
I bet.
I was like, oh my God, I'm not even as tall as you, so I can't imagine. But yeah, I'm glad you got to go. Just thinking, these people on here, I don't want to open them to ask questions. They're gonna ask something crazy. But anything else that you want to share with us, or things people should be keeping an eye out? Let me ask this: when is the mayor up for re-election? Let's go ahead and just put that in our Palm Pilots.
Yeah, so the mayor is up for election next year, the 2020 year. Our races are in November, and so November of 27 is when he will be up. That's when my term will be up at the end of 27 as well. On council, we get 2 4-year terms, and everybody is up at the same time. And so every single position from district seats, at-large seats, the controller, and the mayor will all be on the ballot. And so I encourage people to take the time to be engaged and to participate and to use your social media to get information and to actually come and participate in person from time to time. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m., you can come and speak to council or the mayor in person here at City Hall. On the last Tuesday of each month, we have evening sessions that start at 5 p.m. for those who may not be able to make it because of work during the other weeks. And then we have our voting sessions at 9 a.m. every single Wednesday here at City Hall, which is at 901 Bagby Street. It's open to the public. And we want your engagement. We want your participation. You know, we're only in these seats to represent your voice. The only reason that we have this system is so that everyone won't be down here at the exact same time, trying to let their voice be heard. And so you have an election process to have someone who represents you to come down here each week and to advocate for your interests. But in order for us to do that, we have to hear from you. And so I've tried to make myself extremely available and accessible to not only constituents of J City, but to people from all over the city. And so whether you want to shoot me a DM or email or
send him an email. We don't need you in the DMs. Send him an email. We don't need you in the DMs. Send him an email.
I heard that was a thing too. That was going around. But
we're gonna email. We're gonna send him a professional
email. My page is staff managed.
It's staff managed. Yes, his page is staff managed.
If that is an avenue for communication, just know that we want to hear from you. That is the point that I want to make. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear about your issues and concerns, and I want to hear your ideas on how to serve and govern better and to make the city the best we can. And so, take that as my offer out to you and my invitation.
Do you have time for one more question? Because someone asked, it's kind of a longer question, but it's a question that we always ask people that running that are on city council. Do you have time?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Is the city broke? That's the question. Is the city broke? This is Aaron's question. Aaron, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, the city is not in a good, strong financial position at the moment. When Mayor Turner left office, we had over 500 million in our general fund, and I want people to look at our fund balance as basically your savings account. And so, like in anyone's savings account, if you start spending money out of that savings account and you don't have enough money to replace into that savings account, then you start to become broke. And that's what we've been doing as a city. We have more expenditures than revenue. So we're upside down. And the way that we've been paying for these expenditures to make up for the revenue replacement is using the fund balance, which is the savings account. And so as we draw down on that savings account, after a while, you have no more savings. And that's where we are today. And the mayor has made some interesting decisions over the last couple years to not find ways in which to bring in more revenue. And because of that, the city has a deficit. And right now it's estimated that we are running at about a $174 million deficit. So think about that. At the beginning of the fiscal year, when we voted on the budget, which I voted no, and I voted no the previous year to his budget as well, he said that we had a balanced budget. But halfway through the year now, we see that we are in a hole of $174 million. Most of that is contributed to excessive overtime for police fire, as well as a miscalculation on his behalf on property taxes. And so there have been decisions that have been made by the administration that I believe are poor mismanagement of your dollars. The city controller has continued to raise the alarm on this issue and put out to the council on how serious this matter is and what we should do as a council to try to combat it. But it's gonna take the will of the council and the mayor's office to ensure that we start going in a different direction that makes sure that the city's finances are in a better state. The issue that I have, one of the main issues that I have, is the city's finance director. She puts out what's called a 5-year forecast, where she's able to estimate based on projections on whether we're going to be in the black or the red in the future. And she is estimating that based on where we are today and the spending habits of the city today, that by 2030, we will be facing a $500 million deficit. And this $174 million deficit is the largest in the city's history. Last year's deficit was the second largest in the city's history. And so imagine what a $500 million deficit will look like. And so I'm going to continue to speak out about some of the decisions that the mayor and his office are making as it pertains to the budget. We have to be serious about the dollars that we have, because they're your dollars and we're stewards of your dollars. And if we can budget and manage our personal bank accounts, we should be able to do the same with your money.
I feel like I just was like having a meeting with my dad about my credit card bill. Like, if people are like, Erica Breed, that is y'all heard those numbers. That is insane. So again, y'all see what's at stake. The mayor is acting like this isn't a problem. He's up for re-election next year. Y'all need to be out here voting accordingly. I should, and we have very low turnout for our mayor's races because our mayor's races typically are off cycle. They're not doing a midterm. They're not doing a presidential election. So y'all need to make sure that y'all are doing that. Okay, I'm gonna
the votes are so low that we have around 1.2 million registered voters within the city of Houston. Only about 200,000 of those people come out. That's about 1 million people on the sidelines. You could become the mayor of this city with only like 100,000 votes, and we're the fourth largest city in America. We're up in New York. Mayor Mondami had to get over 1 million votes. So what that says is, if we get more people engaged, specifically younger people, and when I say young, between 25 and 50, if we can get that demographic activated and engaged and want to participate. It doesn't take that many voters to come into the system to really see the change and the issues that are important to you all be met.
You said that reminded me of I've had Tyler Smith on here who's running for a House district, and you said that you had paid Tyler when he was a student to like what was it again? You had paid Tyler, he got all his friends.
So man, Tyler is smart. Let me tell you what Tyler did. So Tyler knew that students needed volunteer hours to graduate.
Yes.
So he would round up students and get them to block walk and knock on doors during my campaign so that they can get volunteer hours. But he also turned it into a business to where his efforts of rounding up and getting all the kids organized and assembled, I would pay him to do that. And so, he was before his time a little bit. I got to give a shout out to Tyler for that. But it was innovative, and we were able to really engage students specifically from TSU during that election cycle. And it was good to see participation from undergrads. And we're going to need to see more creative activations like that going forward.
I'm laughing. So we got people from Dallas in the chat like, oh, y'all broke. Oh, dang. So people are like, wait.
Hey, y'all not doing so much better. I read the headlines. We got major companies that's leaving downtown Dallas. And I can tell you a lot of companies are looking at Houston. So, and y'all haven't made the playoffs since I don't know when. So,
yes.
Y'all relax a little bit out there.
Relax, Morgan, relax. Okay, well, we thank you so much for your time. I know this has been an hour of your time. We appreciate it. We'll bring you back on as things pick up. Now on Friday, it's going to be streamed, right? Because getting downtown before 9 a.m. is just not in my ministry. It's going to be streamed.
Yes, you can find it on HTV, which is Houston Television, on Facebook. I know we on TikTok, but for those who still get on Facebook, you can find it on there, or you can look up your local cable affiliate and the channel for municipal broadcast, and you can find us on there as well.
I text Shay and said, do you want to go? And he was like, no, it's at 9 a.m. Now he in the chat talking about, oh, I'm going. Oh, are you now? Are you now? Okay. We'll be back on. Yeah, listen, if Shay's there, we should go say hi to all our friends. We got other friends out at City Council now. Martha Kasich Tatum, love her. Who else we got down there? I'm late to the City Council friends, but I think Shay know everybody on the horseshoe. Yeah, Morgan, come fly down for Friday. Morgan's in Dallas. Well, Ed, Tiffany, yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. If you saw me typing, it was actually me taking notes for myself, just for the constitutional piece on that Fourth Amendment piece. And then also because the Houston Chronicle articles, they don't get in the weeds how I need them to get in the weeds. So talking about how these warrants are actually not signed by judges. They're signed by an ICE agent, I think is awesome. So not awesome, it's bad, but it was good to know. So I have that so I can make an additional video explaining that as well.
Well, I appreciate the time and thank you for the invitation. I look forward to doing it again.
Yes, you have an awesome, what is today? Tuesday. I'm sure y'all got work to do because y'all been on the TV, y'all been back and forth all day. And one thing too, if he's not gonna do it, but if you want to see some interesting back and forth, just the Houston Chronicle has been keeping track of Ed Pollard, who continues to challenge our mayor in person, not on the internet, not in writing. He says to him directly, hey man, what we doing here? So if you want to see that kind of back and forth, you can. The Houston Chronicle has been tracking that, and it's necessary. And y'all see me interview now 2 other people running for city council, and each time I ask them, what you gonna do about Whitmire? And now we have somebody here that actually is on city council now that has been challenging him.
Y'all follow my TikTok too. I'm trying to get my followers up. Y'all saw that I was late trying to figure out how to activate this, but y'all go in there and show me some love, give me some followers. I'm also on all the other social platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Y'all tune in so I can keep you updated on everything that's happening at City Hall and also in J City.
Yeah, Shay said you got to post your videos over here too. So there's that.
Okay, I got it.
All right, friend. Thank you so much. You have a great one.
You all take care.
All right, let's see. Is Courtney still